Dare to dream a bigger dream.
All right. Good morning. My name is Kim Eichhoff, and I'm a business coach. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and I started this Dare to Dream video series, I'm calling it, where I'm interviewing various entrepreneurs and small business owners, mostly just to find out more about kind of what makes entrepreneurs tick and how they created their business, how they're managing, especially right now, kind of during this crazy time that we're all in. And yeah, just hoping to share some insight and wisdom with other people. So today, Nick Kapustka is joining me from Realm Chiropractic. And so I will let him introduce himself further, but why don't you tell us a little bit about you and then how long you have been a chiropractor and had your business?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Kim. And this is a lot of fun and good to connect with you on this way as well. My name is Nick Kapustka. I've been a chiropractor since 2004. So I'm going on 16 years, which is amazing to think about it that way.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to be partners with my wife. We've been in practice together for, I believe, 13 of those years. So just totally amazing, co-create. She's an amazing woman. Obviously, my chiropractor, my wife as well. And it's her birthday today. So happy birthday, Rachel.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. And then we practice here in Lakewood, Colorado. And we've had this practice for about 4 years. It's coming up on 4 years. And before that, we were in Durango, Colorado. And we decided to move up here for one reason, for our son. He is deaf, and we were realizing that he wasn't getting the services that he needed and us as the family needed as well. So we made I call it the easy and hard decision at the same time to, find a great owner chiropractor down there to take over our practice. And then we came up to Lakewood and we started to practice from new, so that has its set of challenges, its set of benefits as well. Yet we, one of the things that we really enjoy is, co-creating, and it's not always easy, especially when you're living with your business partner and your business partner is your significant other as well.
Yeah.
Yet I value her so much in the practice and what she brings. It's amazing.
So you had a successful practice in Durango, right? And then you moved here. And Durango, for those who don't know, is a much smaller town than Denver, obviously. What's been kind of the biggest challenge in doing that? I mean, I would say starting over is hard in general, but there's such differences in those two communities, right? So
yeah, totally.
What's that been like?
Yeah, part of it is an ego thing, total ego thing. Like we used to go to the grocery store and I used to see, two handfuls of people I knew, right? Every time to the point where there's this introvert in me that was like peeking around an aisle and be like, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm not going down that aisle, so to speak. And word of mouth there was just so huge. I mean, Rachel and I pride ourselves on really, really loving and caring for our people, the people that come through our doors. So I think just like any business, if you treat your clientele or your patients with love and you want to serve them, that goes, so far, and especially with word of mouth. And with Durango, word of mouth was so easy because it was smaller, tight-knit community and it just spread like wildfire. And our practice was booming pretty right out the gate because word spread. Here in a bigger city, it hasn't done that as much, okay? We are finding our certain different corners of the community and word of mouth avenues, yet the majority of the time that I go, to a grocery store, I don't see anybody that I know. So in that, my ego had to grab that and be like, Nick and Rachel was something over there. Nick and Rachel isn't anything here, and just grow through that and realize it's an ego thing, and keep it in check.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do y'all specialize in, or would you say you do specialize in stuff?
Great question. One of our focuses is something called functional correction. And with that, we assess how the body is functioning and get a baseline value, and then help a certain individual increase the functionality of their body little bit by little bit, or maybe big jumps. Okay. It's really comprehensive. We're really detailed in how we assess, which is really unique in our profession. I call us nerds. We like to be nerds and get as much information as possible. And in doing that, not only do we assess the nerve system on a functionality point, but all four quadrants as well. And what I mean about that is physical, mental, emotional, and even spiritual. We do ask those so-called tough questions because, everything that I know about the nerve system, our nerve system controls all four quadrants. So the more information I can get, the better I can serve somebody. And in knowing that and that how we do that, I would say, what we gravitate towards is, it's interesting because there's different sort of target that we zoom in on. I mean, one is special needs kiddos. We have a special needs kiddo. And I don't even like to say special needs kiddo because they're more special needs families. Okay. My family has different needs than other families. For those that don't know, my son is deaf. And so he has different needs. We communicate a different way at home than other families. And that's totally all right. Some of the other kiddos and families that we gravitate towards are those spectrum kiddos, ADHD, autism, sensory processing disorder. Those are all neurobehavioral disorders. So we zoom in there and help them increase quality of life. And that goes the whole family, really. And then there's athletes that we deal with. So a whole other group that are all about performance, whether it's, a teenager that is in a club sport that wants to get the most out of his body and has all these aspirations. Well, we can help him perform better, right? And then there's this other group that I call the CEOs, the admins. These are the go personalities, and they want to take care of themselves because they know health is important. Maybe not have a ton of time, but we can get in there, get out, give them recommendations, which they're generally really good at doing recommendations outside of our office because they see the value of that. So I would say those three groups of the population are our target. They're totally different, but we see all three. And there's, of course, sprinkled in between those that don't necessarily fit into a group, but we serve them as well.
So that made me think of an interesting question when you were talking about kind of the special needs families, right? So all these kids right now are home, being homeschooled. What are you seeing from a healthcare professional, right? Helping take care of these families. Like, what are you seeing are the bigger stressors right now that are happening for families, and how do you think they're coming through all of this right now? I worry a little bit because I can't imagine having kids being stuck at home. So I'm like, oh,
right. Well, some things that like I getting feedback with some emails to us and our own family as well. At first, we were just like, all right, how do we pivot? How do we become a teacher? Like, how do we co-create this with their teachers? And my son's school did an excellent job at pivoting. And the first week, we noticed like my son Noah, he was just so focused in there, like loving it, loving how they do it. And he was sitting so much. He was on the screen so much. And his behavior just went,
ooh, wow, okay. Interesting, yeah.
So we just had to like, all right, let's survey the scene here. What's happening? Oh, he's sitting way more than he ever has in his life. He's having way more screen time than he's ever had in his life. So that's causing this effect of this, behavioral stuff. Okay, so literally what we did is we grabbed his schedule and, we ran it by his teacher, but his teacher was awesome about it. We were like, all right, and I think it's 10 o'clock our time right now. Literally, I know what Noah's doing. He's either biking for at least a half mile, or he's jogging for at least a half mile, or he's outside because it's a beautiful Colorado day here, outside, and he's playing basketball right now because
Okay.
10 o'clock every day he does that. He's about an hour and 15 minutes into his school day, his e-learning, and we realize that, hey, homeboy needs to move his body so he can help integrate all this screen time, right? And that's
Yeah.
two of the big things, how much our kids are sitting right now,
Yeah.
especially being through this e-learning piece. When we sit, we don't access proprioception, which is a good healthy stimulation that helps our brain work. Okay, so we want movement. And then the other piece is we want to unplug from screen time because screens are constant stimulation and we don't really assess how far that goes in creating interference in our nervous system.
Yeah.
Okay, so those would be the two
That's
things:
cool.
is move our body because we're sitting too much, and get outside because we're so much locked in with the screen. So
That's interesting. This morning I do these Monday morning check-in calls, with entrepreneurs at like 8. And that was one of the big things we started talking about was kind of the exhaustion from being on Zoom or being on video calls all day. And there's a guy on the call who's an IT guy. And he said, when I'm in my office, we all sit too much anyway, right? I mean, that's part of our problem as a society. But now he's like, when I was in my office, there were people walking around. It would interrupt me. I would get up. I'd go to the bathroom. I'd go do stuff, talk to people. Now I find that I will just be on this thing all day long, get up to go to the bathroom, but come right back and doesn't do anything outside or anything, just hasn't. So that was a big part of the conversation of you got to move your body. You got to, take breaks and stuff. And obviously the exhaustion, I feel like what it is too with Zoom or screens, when you're teaching or coaching or, doing kind of sessions online, you're giving a lot of energy, but because you're not in person, you don't feel the energy come back. Is that true? Or is that just okay.
No, that's a great point. I mean, doing what you do, doing what we do, exchange is so important. Okay.
Right.
And exchange can be, a smile. Exchange can be you seeing a business just increase profitability just a little bit. That like is exchange for you, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. When I see results with the people that I serve, that's huge. I love that. Okay. And when we're like this, we don't get a lot. And guess what? When we're wearing one of these masks, which, don't get me wrong, we like need to go down that road, but we can't see a smile, right?
Yeah.
So it's so hard to see a smile. And, like, what are these called? The widows, like widow's feet. So I'm going to do a whole
crow's feet or
crow's feet. That's it. Crow's feet. So when we smile, like when I smile, you can see them. A lot of people are the same. And so we're going to start reading those crow's feet as smiles, because this is going to be covered, right?
That's a good point.
Right? I got a whole article coming on that.
I love it. No, that's really, so what I saw online today, actually, and I thought about you, is this was made for people who are deaf. And did you see it? The mask with the.
So awesome. Totally awesome. I love it.
I was wondering what y'all thought about that. Yeah. Oh, did you? Okay. I was
Totally.
like, I wonder if Nick will like this. Okay. Yeah. But I think just in general, being able to see a smile, that's a really good thing to have anyway, right?
For sure.
The see-through part.
Yeah. I think everybody should get them,
Yeah. No, I was thinking that too. I was like, how clever is that? That's very clever.
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay. So let's get back to business. So when you and Rachel, or maybe when you started your business even before Rachel was there, but when y'all started your business and then restarted your business, what do you feel like? I'm a big believer that as individuals, we have to grow personally, and it can be on business skills, but it's mostly also personal stuff, right? So in order for our businesses to grow, we have to continue to grow. Do you agree with that first? And then second of all, if so, what are some of the things that you've learned about yourself that you realize I had to work on this to get my business to grow?
Totally. Great question. Totally agree with that as well. One of my mentors used to say, who we are as individuals precedes what we do in life. So who I am as a soul, a being, precedes me as a chiropractor. Okay. So like, and you know, one of the things that like I want to voice in the opportunities that we all have right now is to work on ourselves. That's what this virus has given us right now, is an opportunity to look at ourselves and work on ourselves. And so we can all hit a growth spurt after this. That's what the opportunity, I view in my judgment, is right now.
Yeah.
So like if we look at it through that perspective rather than a fear perspective or a victim perspective, and don't get me wrong, there's been times throughout this whole thing that, you know, I've felt like woe is me. Yeah,
Right.
that's natural. Okay.
Mhm.
If we can move through that and be empowered and say, what's the opportunity to grow here? It's huge. That opportunity is huge right now. So to grab it and move forward with that is awesome. So to answer your question, I totally agree with that. And life is giving us one of those opportunities right now. And I remember back, you know, just recently, another layer of just knowing myself, because I view like all of us, no matter how evolved we are or aren't, we have layers of growth, layers of growth. So one that's recently come up, you know, probably through this is me really getting to know the producer. And I think we've had a conversation about this too, of like, there's this big producer that in me, that if I'm not producing, if I'm not serving the people in my office, I don't feel worthy or like I'm of value, and that really can get me down. So
Yeah.
me getting to know that layer was really, really, really powerful, and being like, all right, I can produce in different ways. I can make videos. I can do different panels. I can do interviews. I can, you know, be a husband and a dad, you know, and just produce that way, right? It doesn't have to look like it's in my office. I don't know if I
Right.
answered the question, but like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's great. Yeah. No, yeah, I'd say a lot that this is, you know, on a global scale, obviously teaching us a lot of stuff globally, right? But then individually, whatever like deep dark emotions that we have that are challenging, like fears or anger or grief, whatever those things are, this is like magnifying those things and pushing them up for us individually. So yeah, looking at what those things are and then like, how do I use this? Um,
I can add to that too.
yeah, yeah,
I think I look at my past and I see that whenever I really worked on myself, whether it's through a book or journaling or a conference or, you know, just talking with Rachel, and whenever I really took another layer, it just seemed, and this, you know, some people are going to say it's poo-poo, and it's all right, it's real. And what happens is I get more business. If
yeah.
I grow, my business grows. And
It just
that's
always does.
right. And for some reason, like there's times that I forget about that, and I'm like, all right, I'm looking for the business to grow more. Like, and I forget, and I'm like, oh yeah, work on yourself.
Yeah,
It's,
that'll
it's
help the
always
business.
there, right?
Yeah, totally. And what I always find is when I work on my own stuff, then I get clients that come in that need that same information, right? So I've been able to work on it,
Totally.
learn some stuff, and then like, oh, well, let me share what I've learned, and maybe this will help you. And yeah, I think that's cool. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fun. So what have you felt? One of the questions that I am asking people is that, you know, being an entrepreneur, growing your business, there's always times that we have, especially in the beginning, where it can be scary because we're not getting the clients that we want as fast, or we're not making the money that we want. I mean, sometimes we are, but and then there's times too where we just, you know, we go through fluxes, right? We lose clients, our income will drop, and it can be scary. So having had those experiences before this pandemic, and obviously most businesses have slowed down a lot, right? And so it can be scary. How has that helped you, or has it have helped you, having those experiences in the past, manage kind of maybe what is happening now, if you have any fears that come up now?
Yeah, I think one that I keep going back to is like, we did this once, we can do it again. Okay. And
Yeah,
the next few weeks, you know, month is going to be a really interesting pivot again, because I think we've been pivoting, all of us have been pivoting through this, and another pivot through as we become more and more open. Okay.
yeah,
Like people get out more and more. It's going to be a really interesting, powerful time because some people are going to stay locked down for their own reasons and definitely have their right and choice to do that. And other people are going to start opening up, coming out more, the more that they feel safe.
Yeah.
I believe. And just a reminder, because it's almost a variation of opening from scratch again. I hope none of our businesses do that, like they're to ground zero, but maybe we were here and now we're maybe here. So it's viewing it from that, and we've been down here. So if we view it open up fresh again, then that's a good opportunity. Hey, we've been through this, we can do this. Okay. And reminding ourselves, because I view that smaller part of ourselves, that maybe shadow part of ourselves likes to say, we can't do this, and the victim comes in. And then we need to remind ourselves that, hey, we've been through this, we were here, we can do this really easy. We just need to alter our focus. Yeah. And one of the, I give out a lot of visualizations. One of the powerful visualizations that I like and I really resonate with is I was a past athlete, and my wife was as well, and our son is an athlete. So to bring in athletics is a good visualization for us. And I view the universe as a coach, probably the best coach there ever was, right? And this thing I know about coaches always want to have their best players in the game. And this I know, if I'm living from my heart with my integrity, I'm one of the best coaches, and so are you, or best players, and so are you. Okay. And so are all these other people if they're living from their heart and acting out of integrity. So that gives me that confidence, that gives me that, all right, coach wants me in, I'm going to perform. I'm going to do my thing, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's a great visualization. Has there been anything, one of the things that I've been trying to think about a lot is, now that I've kind of, doing the Zoom calls, I had an office, right, downtown, and now I'm back in my house in Lakewood. And so as this moves forward, what do I want to change? And one of the things that I've realized is how much time I've gotten back. I'm having to commute, obviously, which I've known intellectually, but I just, for whatever reason. So now it's kind of like, all right, I don't want to do Zoom calls all the time, but where do I want an office now? Where do I want to be located? And so that my life, I can do more of the things that I love, and I can commute on my bike easier and stuff like that. So have there been things that you've sort of realized that how you were doing your business that you might change, or are you pretty happy with how things are?
I think we're still in the inventory stage of that. That's been a lot of, several conversation with Rachel and I, and seeing if what opportunity is here to change that. And I know there are, and it just hasn't become so in our face yet. We've been talking about several different opportunities. I think bringing in some possible Zoom lectures, because people are gonna, even when we go back, I think people are gonna value Zoom and Zoom presentations. And hopefully we won't be on Zoom as much, but this was a great introduction to Zoom, and good opportunity to use it moving forward as well. I think that's a piece, because a lot of our, as you know, a lot of our practice, we educate a lot and do a lot of talk, and love doing that. That definitely feeds my soul, feeds Rachel's soul as well. So I think bringing that extra element in is going to be powerful.
I think that's great. I think I have a yoga teacher that I love, that I usually would go to her classes, and now she's doing them all on Zoom. And I want to go back to her classes, but it's nice to be able to have a session, jump on a Zoom thing right over here in my living room, right, and do a yoga class, and then come back to a session the next hour. So that kind of stuff I think is valuable, especially because we know, traffic's going to get bad again. Things are going to, everybody's going to speed back up, right? So having the opportunity to see a lecture of yours, even if they can't get there, but they can watch it, I think that would be really valuable. Keep doing that. And you can reach so many more people too, right? Like 10 people, 20 people in your office, but then you can have 100 on Zoom watching. So.
For sure. And one of the things, because I've had 3 different practices in 3 different locations, one in Michigan, one in Durango, one here, obviously, that would be a way that I could give back to those
Yeah.
communities too. So that's a thing that we're thinking about as well.
That's very cool. Oh, totally. Well, and one of the things that I will say, because I come to y'all for chiropractic, obviously, and the thing that I've been thinking a lot about how we need so many more spaces like this, and I've told you this before, but the space you've created is so, I don't know, it's like I called it an oasis once. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's so calming. And I've been in many other chiropractors' offices, and not that they were bad, but there's something different about your space, just the feeling of it, and it's been very intentional, I know, and how y'all created it, right? And how you
Right.
put it all together.
Yep.
And to me, that's what we so need to continue with, right? Like self-care has to obviously be a priority at this point, because our immune system really is all we have to defend ourselves against something like this, right? So if you don't have a good immune system, which self-care is a big part of. So anyway, so I mean, I know that's been intentional. Do you have anything to add kind of to that as far as like the space you create and the environment and stuff like that?
Without a doubt. I mean, I think that what I'm going to touch on that and go a little deeper too. So what is happening right now, a lot of us are being put in fight or flight, right? And we live in a fight or flight society as well. Our society as a whole, even before this, was like, go, 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 get stuff done.
Yeah.
Like, move, 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 produce, like what's next? And don't get me wrong, I like the what's next stuff. I like to go, go, go. And at the same time, I know that I don't want to live in fight or flight, okay? And a lot of what is happening right now is fight, flight, or freeze for people, okay? And we knew that like every practice that we've had has been with this intention, put a lot of energy into, all right, how does it feel stepping through our doors? What music we listen to, how you're greeted, what colors are on the wall, what posters are on the wall, the conversations that we have with you as well. And, I think that initial conversation goes a long way. And what I mean about that is we talk about your past, and this. We talk about, what your physical being has had to go through and your mental emotional being. And we just open up that conversation. And I know that's unique, and it might look, for a lot of different healthcare practitioners, they don't get into that. When my judgment around that is just fear of like what could come up when, doing this for 15 plus years. Like, I'm not going to say I've heard it all, but I've heard it all. And I'm not wigged out by it because I can keep space for it. I'm used to people crying with me. I'm used to people laughing with me, so I don't feel weird. And I think the more that I healed myself and became all right with anything that comes through the doors, then this welcoming, this nurturing, this oasis, as you called it, is really evident and really palpable.
Yeah.
So, and that goes with Rachel as well. I mean, she's an amazing chiropractor that way. And just listening to folks and making it all right. Like, it's never wrong here. So.
Well, and that's what's cool about it too, because you can stop in and get your treatment, and it doesn't take that long, but it doesn't feel rushed by any means. So it always, you always feel like centered and calm. Y'all do. And I always feel more centered and calm when I leave. But that's what's neat about it, because it can still be only your 10, 15 minute, interaction or whatever. But then it's like, ooh, that was good. You just feel like reset in a way. So you've done a great job.
Thank you. And some of it is like go in and touch it, help it move forward. Or sometimes it's go in and let's get in the swamp and move it forward. So it takes different times, and like, again, making it whatever it is all right, Yeah.
Cool. So what would you say if somebody's watching that, has been thinking about wanting to do their own business, maybe they're thinking about going back to school to do something, what would you say to that person?
Awesome. Create stillness. Create stillness is one thing I would offer, of just like, whether it's tuning into your breath or just feeling your body and seeing how thing that you're thinking about, whether it's a new business or going back to school, feels kinesthetically. Okay. We have this body and we can use it as a tool for us if we tune into it. So just creating that, because that'll create a foundation for you of when you move forward with that. So that's one thing that I'd really offer. The other piece is to journal. Whenever we have big transitions of, say, changing our jobs or going back to school or creating our business or even retiring, those are big transitions and opportunities for clarity or interference to enter this neural net, which is our body. So journaling, I view, would be very, just puke it on paper. That's what I always call it. Puke it on paper. Just get it out. Maybe this day you feel really motivated and just, like want to grab, or maybe it's like you're so scared. Puke it on paper. Okay, wherever you are in that spectrum of emotion, just puke it on paper and see what comes out. Because I think that can be a tool for you to look back on of like, oh, there were fears or there were, great days, So those two things, tune in your body and journaling, I would offer, and it's going to take you to access a lot of courage as well and bravery in transition, and just to acknowledge that would be beneficial, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Did you always want to have your own business? Is that like a dream of yours, or how did you?
Yeah. So it was more around the health aspect. I knew when I was growing up, I wanted to be a pediatrician, and I grew up with a very, very allopathic family, just a lot of doctors in my family, and amazing. And they, several of them, I was given opportunities to shadow and to just get to know that. And a lot of times they'd pull me over and be like, hey, Nick, just to let you know, I see your passion, but I don't know if I would do this if I had it all over to do.
Oh, wow.
Several of them said that, and I got to thinking more and more and more. And then I did a internship at a pediatric oncology unit in Madrid. And that was amazing. I learned so much. I was 21 years old. I learned so much about myself, good, bad, and ugly, as you can probably imagine. And that a little boy named Maxie, who was completely bald, okay, and he had leukemia, and he was always in somebody's arms. He was 6 years old, and he was like literally myself or somebody would be carrying him around and he was this happy young boy that had so much life. He taught me something about physical touch. He was healthier than all these other kids because he was touched more. And from there, that's when I was like, all right, this touch thing is important in life. Yeah. And I came back and did an internship with a chiropractor because it was touch, right? And from there, I, just grabbed it. And he was all about why I should be a chiropractor. So that helped shift my mind. And then I went to school and just fell in love with almost a philosophy of life, from living inside out and trusting the body and listening to the body. And the rest is history.
That's awesome. That made me think of something when you said, talking about touch, because right now there's so many people who are single, right? And I know I have several friends who are, and I've seen posts on Facebook about, can't wait to get somebody a hug, and your heart is going to break for the people who are by themselves like that. Not that they can't manage it, but because of that lack of physical touch. Is that something that y'all have been like, this could be an issue, or like, how is that going to affect people coming out of this, I guess?
Yeah. I was on a panel about a month ago when this first started, and one of their powerful questions that they asked me, they said, coming out of this, what would you recommend? How can we move forward as a society in a healthy way? And I was like, well, for one, I would seek out those healthcare practitioners, and I'm one of them, and I outed myself, that touch you, okay? Because whether we're living with people or not, our physical touch has gone down. Yeah. So to access that in a powerful way, because touch is healthy and healing. And sure, we need to be smart about that as well, take some precautions now. Yet seek out those providers, those acupuncturists, those massage therapists, and, those chiropractors that
Right.
are there touching, because we as human beings, that's part of a healthy movement forward for us, and to
Yeah.
access that is great. So
Yeah. That's been, I think, one of the hardest things for people, not being able to be together during this hard time, and
right.
friends and
Well, that was the other
um,
thing too, is to take classes like your yoga class,
mhm.
your exercise class, your Pilates class, and go to be around. We're social, beings, and whether we all
Yeah.
have this, sort of spectrum, I'll use spectrum again, of like being really gregarious or extroverted, or we have this introverted part, and it goes like this. It doesn't just stay in one place, but that extroverted part of us, because it's part of all of us, hasn't been getting fed much.
Right.
Okay. So go and take a class, or go in with a group and go, for a bike ride rather than just yourself.
Yeah.
When we open up and they say it's, kosher to do that.
Yeah. I worry we're going to be all so tentative of it, and a little scared of each other. And I see it at the park now when I go on a walk with my dog, we're like staying 6 feet apart. And it can get very easy to kind of see the other person as, oh, you might have it. It's like this weird.
Right. We, I think it was the first weekend after the first wave of closing down with this. We went for a walk, the three of us, Noah, Rachel, and myself. And, what we noticed, there was so many people in the park. And it's a park that very, very well. And
Yeah.
so many people in the park. And then we were noticing that people weren't making eye contact, weren't saying anything, I think out of that fear. So what we started to do, and Noah started to do it as well, just by waving, is saying, good morning, good afternoon,
Mhm.
hello, to create
Look
that.
people in the eye. Yeah.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
To wish them a great day, and
Hmm.
little by little, I think people opened up with that. So,
Yeah. That's good.
yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Nick. This has been awesome. Would you tell people how they can find you if they're in the Denver Lakewood area?
Yeah, definitely. So realmlakewood@gmail.com. So that's REALM as in Mary, and then Lakewood, just as it sounds, @gmail.com is my email address. You can always reach out. We do a lot, having practices in 3 different locations. We constantly have people just reaching out to ask for support in different ways. It doesn't
Mm.
necessarily have to mean I have to adjust you and do something physical with your physical body. We have a lot of resources. That's one thing that we pride ourselves is just being a resource for folks. So reach out via email. Our website is realmlakewood.com, and our phone number is 720-722-3357. You can text that number as well. It goes right to our email as well. So there's different ways you can reach out for more information, or you want a different perspective on health. And if I don't know, I'll give you, I don't know. I really pride myself in that, and I don't know everything, but we help a lot of people, and we have a lot of people reach out. So we're a good resource for you, even if you want just a different perspective on things.
That's great. Cool. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you being here. It's been really fun.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
So dare to love, dare to laugh. Take a stand, say yes to your path. Dare to shine, dare to fly. Make a scene. Dare to dream a bigger dream.